Everyone, thanks for joining us this evening for our virtual cooking class. We've got guest chef Natalie Hunt with us tonight, and we are embracing the theme fast and fresh meals. So she has a really delicious recipe ready to share with us. And Natalie, I will hand it over to you.
Hi guys, thank you so much for joining in. It's always nice to be back in the kitchen with Cone Health. This is a really fresh and fun salad that you can make and even kind of prepare the ingredients ahead of time. So you've got something that's really easy during the week. But I love the fruit and the flavor with this one. And we are going to start with our boneless, skinless chicken thighs. These are pretty easy to find and the seasoning is pretty easy as well. We're just going to be using 2 teaspoons of onion, 2 tablespoons of minced garlic, and then a little drizzle of EVOO. So before I add this in, I'm just going to go ahead and turn my pan on a medium heat and add a little drizzle of olive oil. All right, so I went ahead and rinsed my chicken breast and kind of patted them down. Rinsing is debatable whether it's necessary or not, but that is completely up to you. So I'm just going to mix in my dry seasonings and we'll give these a little stir. So really, really easy and a great one to take. Even if you don't top it with the chicken, I've taken this salad without the chicken to events and to barbecues, and it is a hit. It's really simple, very easy, but tons of bright, fresh flavor. So my chicken's ready. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the cast iron and we'll start on the fruit.
Natalie, we've got Leah substituted cranberries because she couldn't find the pomegranates.
Cranberries are a great option too, whether they're fresh or whether they're dry. Dried, you're gonna get a little bit more of the sweetness, but with the fresh, you're gonna get a little more acidity. So it really just depends on what your preference is. But hopefully one day in the future, I'll be able to show you my trick about getting the pomegranate seeds out because it's a lot of fun. So let's say this was a pomegranate, we would cut it in half and then we would take the backside of a wooden spoon. Obviously this is not a spoon, but we would just tap that skin of the pomegranate over a bowl until the little tiny seeds started to fall out. So it's a lot of fun. If you've got little ones and you want to give them something to do in the kitchen that doesn't involve a knife, pomegranates are a fun way to do that. Also, too, for my people with little ones, they have kid-safe knives. So cutting things like an apple or even squeezing a lime are great ways to get little ones in the kitchen active and involved. So while our chicken is cooking, I'm going to go ahead and rinse our apples and our blackberries, and then we'll get started on getting those items ready. The chicken is already smelling great, so I'm really excited about that. Who else loves to use chicken thighs? So I'm going to go ahead and cut up our apple. I just switched to a smaller paring style knife because I want to get nice thin slices. And that's a little bit easier to do with that smaller knife and a more controllable blade. The instructions call for Fuji or Honeycrisp apples. I tend to like those best raw because they do have that great amount of sweetness, but still crisp and firm. So those are my usual go-tos, especially for topping a salad. I'm only going to cut one. If you're making this dish for a larger group, of course, you could cut 2 or maybe even 3. If you're prepping these ahead of time, having little apple wedges or slices on hand is never a bad thing, and it makes for a good snack, just drizzled with a little bit of honey or even dipped in some yogurt or PB too. All right, so my apple is ready. Pretty simple. And then for the blackberries, I'm using a smaller container, just one smaller container. And then we'll go ahead and start with our red onion. We only need half of this. It is raw for some people who have a preference on red onion or who would rather not have it altogether. It's not essential. You can certainly skip it. But here's my little secret for cutting your red onion. I always take the end and then take the top. And then I take my knife and I score the skin so that I can get that extra layer off pretty easily. And then that will just peel all the way around.
Natalie, we've got one user who keeps chicken thighs frozen, boneless, skinless as a staple in their freezer at all times, which is a great tip for really a lot of proteins that you can keep that way. So you've got them on hand for, or especially when they're on sale. And with the way grocery prices are now, I've actually gotten a lot more creative with chicken thighs. Things I used to maybe use a chicken breast for the recipe. I've been experimenting a little bit, and yeah, very flavorful and delicious.
Yes, absolutely. And I think that's one of the things is you can get a lot more flavor from using a thigh. And that little extra fat goes a long way. So don't be afraid to pick up extra proteins, whether it's chicken thighs, chicken breasts, maybe even pork tenderloin, or some of your favorite seafood items, and have those in the fridge frozen. Buying in bulk is a great way to save a couple dollars too. And then if you're buying, let's say, 5 pounds of chicken breasts, but you're just making for 2 people at home, go ahead and portion those out so you've got them ready to go and can use them rather than having to stop by the store every time. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my chicken thighs and adjust the heat. These look so good already. So this is a fairly large onion, so I'm only going to do about 1/4 of it. And I want those slices, again, like with the apple, really nice and thin. So just taking my time with cutting so that I have some really delicate slices to easily incorporate in that salad. So I chose walnuts for this. Of course, you could use pecans, you could use sunflower seeds, you could even use pumpkin seeds or pepitas. Those are great and flavorful and in season. But I really love the hardiness and texture with walnuts, especially when it's paired with goat cheese. So the goat cheese, of course, is optional as well, but it gives it that really smooth creaminess and sweetness against some of the tang of the fruit. Drain a little bit more of this water off of the blackberries, and then we can go ahead and start making our dressing too. I am going to adjust my heat on the chicken thighs. So for the limes, y'all know my trick. If you've watched before in any of these cone classes with me, we're always going to roll any fruit that we zest and squeeze. And then my other secret, I almost always use a mason jar, a wide mouth mason jar to make any dressing. So if I'm making a marinade that has fresh squeezed citrus juice in it, I'm going to use one of these. And the reason is because my squeezer fits perfectly over top of that. So I squeeze directly into here. I also have a container that's ready to go that can fill up very, very easily and very well and go directly into the refrigerator. So they do have smaller versions and those will work just as well, but the wide mouth is the key. These are basically a staple in my home. So I'm gonna go ahead and zest.
What other cheese options, if someone's not a big fan of goat cheese, what would be a great choice?
Ooh, you can even use like a diced smoked Gouda or like a white American. So you're gonna want to look for something that has a little bit of a smoother taste and smoother, softer texture. So think like provolone, blue cheese would be a good one if you are a blue cheese fan. The smoked Gouda would add a nice layer of depth, but still be a nice smooth cheese that's not sharp. I love smoked Gouda, and so if there's an opportunity to use that in a recipe, a lot of times I will. I also love provolone. If I'm making something where I want that a nice melty cheese, I'm gonna go with like a provolone and then mozzarella and typically like a white American. Right, so I think I've got this lime pretty well zested. I am going to tap off the extra and scrape any off the back and set this aside. I'm gonna take a peek at my chicken while I'm at a good pulse point. A lot of times I use a cast iron when I'm making chicken thighs or cooking chicken thighs. I love the color and the flavor that develops with cooking those in a cast iron. And so I have to kind of keep an eye on the temperature. If anybody else loves using a cast iron.
Absolutely. We certainly do in our house. We're big fans.
I really enjoy it. There's a little bit of a learning curve when you first start using cast irons, but the color and the ability to really get a nice sear is by far much better. So I just dumped my lime zest into my mason jar, and I'm going to go ahead and cut this in half and squeeze it.
We're getting some comments of some cast iron fans in the chat as well. So yes.
Yes. And so I do have some discount codes for Lodge cast irons. If anybody ever wants those or wants me to start sharing those codes, I certainly can. There's no rhyme or reason to what specials are available to me, but everything from their pancake and like bundt cake pans to their traditional 12-inch double handled pans are available. So I have to keep my eye on what options come up and what those codes are I can purchase with those codes.
I love too that you can start something on the stove and then finish it in the oven in cast iron. And I also love that that if you're really trying to get better iron intake, or if your iron levels are often low, that some of the iron from cooking in cast iron actually gets into your food. And so it actually can help with increasing your iron levels, which I think is really interesting, creative way if you're trying to get iron.
But, you know, the absorption through food is much better and retained within our bodies and utilized versus just taking a supplement. So if we can add plenty of ingredients that are either high in iron or use cast iron pans, I think we have a better opportunity to nourish our body and provide plenty of iron. So I'm going to go ahead now. I've got the zest and the juice in my mason jar. I'm going to go ahead and I've got a slotted spoon. I'm using the Dole Mandarin Oranges. These are typically no sugar added, and They're beautiful little mandarins. They make a great snack if you wanted to make a fruit salad or just a little fruit bowl. These are great to have on hand. They're very, very versatile, and the juice is extremely versatile as well. So I'm going to go ahead and pull out some of these mandarins so that we can have those to top our salad with. And I am going to go ahead and measure 1/4 of a cup and add it to my mason jar. We'll take a peek at the chicken real quick. All right, so I've turned that down to low heat. We'll let that continue to cook. So here I'm going to take 1/4 of these for mandarin. And in that goes. So pretty simple, a great way to utilize not only the juice, but also the fruit. And then, in addition to that, I'm going to take my olive oil. I'm using the rich taste. If you want more of a subtle olive oil, I suggest using the light version. And we're also going to be using 1/4 a cup of that as well. So in addition to that, we will be adding in 1 tablespoon of minced garlic and Dijon mustard, along with red chili flakes. And so that's going to give us that full robust flavor. So here I've got our red chili flakes and our dry ingredients. So I'm going to go ahead and pour that in. And again, that's 1 tablespoon of minced garlic and 1 teaspoon of chili flakes. So 1 tablespoon of garlic, 1 teaspoon of chili flakes. For the mustard, we are going to be using 1 teaspoon as well. And I am going to just go ahead and stir that in.
Natalie, your recipe may mention this, but how long does your homemade dressing stay in the fridge?
So because there's no dairy in these, and then all we're using is this shelf-stable fruit juice, you have quite a long shelf life. So I would typically say no longer than 14 to 18 days from the day that you make it. But because it's really, really simple, and we're not making a lot, we've only made about half of a cup, a little more than half of a cup. It can very easily be used up within a week or 2. Even 4 or 5 salads should use the majority of this. So the great thing is not only is it pretty shelf stable and does not contain any dairy, also our volumes and our portions are very usable. So we're not making this super big thing of dressing, shoving it in the back of the refrigerator and forgetting about it. We're going to use it, and we're going to make it, and we're going to use it pretty quickly. So if you are making this salad, and let's say you were taking it to an event, and you were making enough for it to be a full family size, maybe 8 to 12 servings, this would be plenty of dressing for that whole salad. Who's with me? How are we doing?
Susan, how you doing? Are you cooking along or just viewing tonight?
No, I'm just viewing tonight. I let Natalie do the cooking. She's the best.
That's right.
Thanks, Susan. So for anyone that's on tonight that isn't familiar with what I do outside of these wonderful cooking classes, I also specialize in convenient, healthy meals. We have a meal service that serves the majority of the central North Carolina area, everywhere from North Raleigh to High Point. And so Susan's one of my clients based out of Greensboro, and we're really glad to have her. We're able to prepare some special items for her. A lot of more high protein, low carb, tons of vegetables, and very nutrient dense meals that she doesn't have to think about. So not only is she getting this great portion of food, but we're taking it off of her plate and preparing those for her. So we're really glad to have Susan, and we're glad to have her here with us tonight. So I went ahead and pulled a piece of the chicken thighs out of the pan. I'm gonna let it cool for a second, and then I'm just gonna give it a little test to see if it's fully cooked. This looks great. I feel like it needs another minute. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and start assembling my salad.
Natalie, we've got a question too about, or not really a question, but just when cooking meat, some folks are a little skeptical. They feel like they always have it overdone or underdone. And you had some great tips for this in the last time we cooked together. So I thought maybe you could share a few tips there.
Yes. So our internal temperature for chicken is going to be 165. If you are concerned about your chicken being underdone, I always recommend pulling it off of the heat and testing with a thermometer the thickest portion of the chicken. And it should have an instant read of 165. So there are some really great affordable digital thermometers online. I can share some links if anyone is interested, but it's important to make sure that the food you're putting in front of your family and that you're consuming yourself is safe and healthy and properly cooked. That's my key for making sure that it's cooked. Use a thermometer. For overcooking, I always monitor my heat level. I would rather cook lower and slower with chicken than burn it. So I can always turn the heat up if I need it. I can't always slow it down. So lower, slower, give it time, get that nice browning on it, and then use a thermometer to make sure it's done.
Thanks, Natalie. That's super helpful.
You're welcome. It can be a little bit cumbersome when you're cooking chicken and maybe you're using a traditional style metal pan or you're not sure about the heat settings. And that's why I recommend starting on a lower temperature, putting your chicken in a nice warm pan that is appropriately oiled, and then monitoring the cook and using a thermometer. So as most of you know, if you've been on one of these classes with me before, I am a big fan of this Organic Girl greens. These are the super greens. I think these things are like triple washed. They are probably one of my favorites simply because of the quality. And the variety. So you're able to get a really nice mixed greens, high quality, very well washed and ready to go. So I don't have to think about these or like inspect them as much as I do some of the other mixed greens that are available in the store. These are my favorite.
Brianna says she loves Organic Girl.
Yes. And like I will make breakfast and put these underneath scrambled eggs. So I really try my best to find as many ways as possible to use greens, whether it's kale, spinach, arugula, and to incorporate them with pretty much everything that I eat. But this is a great grocery store ready item that you can use and incorporate and throughout the week with a lot of things. So I'm going to be using one container, and I'm just going to go ahead and assemble my salad. So we're going to start with the greens. I will kind of take a peek and make sure I don't see anything that looks funky or weird, but most of the time these Organic Girl salad greens are really, really high quality. And then I am just gonna start by layering in my ingredients. I'm gonna start with the apple since it's a little bit, it's kind of one of the larger ingredients that we're gonna be using. Soon we'll be in the new cone kitchen, and hopefully some people will have the opportunity to come cook with me hands-on in person. I may make enough to share, but last time we had one of these cooking classes, Kate was able to come out and join me in person, and it was so nice just to have the opportunity to connect with real humans, not on the internet.
That was so much fun, Natalie. And yes, I can't wait to have you out at our new Med Center Greensboro teaching kitchen in October. That is going to be so much fun. We will be trialing out the space for that class, so you'll get a sneak peek at that beautiful new facility. And then hopefully, and so we'll still be doing that one virtually. And then hopefully we will be able to do some in-person classes following that. So very, very exciting stuff to come.
I am very excited and cannot wait for your new facility. I think that the initiatives that Code are working on as far as having these resources, cooking classes, nutrition classes in-house, and making it available for all of your employees, as well as any patients, it's just a great opportunity for them, and I'm really glad to be a part of that. So far I have sprinkled my apples, went ahead and used my mandarins. Now I'm gonna go in. I can't decide if I want to do blackberries or pomegranates first. I think I'm gonna do blackberries first. Go in with the blackberries, and we're just gonna make a really pretty salad.
Yasmin says that looks so good, and it really does. All the beautiful colors, it looks great.
And the texture is key. A lot of times food is more satisfying when you have that diversity of texture and interest, the sweet and the tang, the crisp and the crunch. So that's kind of one of the things that I like to look for in a really well-balanced dish. It's just the variety and the interest. I lost the pomegranate seed. All right. So now I've got pomegranates, blackberries. I'm gonna go ahead and go in with my walnuts. I am gonna give these a little crumble. And then last but not least, before my chicken, the goat cheese. Just gonna kind of sprinkle this around as well. I am actually using a honey goat cheese. And so it has got a extra tiny dose of sweetness that will really pop on this salad. All right. I'm gonna give the dressing one more shake. I'm gonna set that aside and put that on very, very last before or after my chicken. I've also got these really pretty star fruit that we can incorporate. And then we're gonna give those chicken thighs a good quick chop, and we'll be ready to go. So I love these flexible cutting mats. They're very versatile. They're really easy to clean. I can very easily, like if I was cutting vegetables and I had some trash or some ends, I could very easily pick it up, scrape that into the trash, and then still have a very easy to use cutting board. So my chicken is done. It has a really nice color, as you can probably see. A great color. It's almost falling apart. definitely not dry. And that's one of the benefits of using chicken thighs is you get a really nice flavor. And they go really great on a salad. How's everyone doing?
Hungry, I bet.
All right, so it's time to top our salad. I'm going to give this a little dry. Y'all, this looks so good. And I am going to go in with a spoon and just do a tiny little drizzle. All right, that's pretty much it, y'all. What do you think? Who's going to make this at home very, very soon?
Got a couple hands raised as far as planning to make it soon. Natalie, I know I certainly can't wait to make this dish. You are the queen of fast and fresh, and it just looks like a delicious way to enjoy a variety of fruits, which is one of my absolute favorite things. I mean, I would choose all those different colorful fruits over Skittles personally. That just looks so good.
Right? It's so nice to have a really flavorful and robust dish. But some other great items that you could make this salad go even further is take 2 or 3 minutes ahead of preparing the salad and the chicken and throw some russet potatoes in the oven. Even roasting green beans along with roasted potatoes and this salad with the chicken thighs would make for a full, complete meal. Asparagus, you could very easily throw that in the pan. It takes just a couple of minutes. So you could have a really nice, really full and complete meal in less than 45 minutes. And as far as dishes, we've used 1 salad bowl, 1 frying pan, a cutting board, a knife, a couple of these just because I had kind of everything laid out and ready to go, as well as our mason jar. So very low dishes. Very easy, also something that you could get kids involved in as far as plating everything up and preparing and doing some of the juicing or the zesting. So yeah, very easy, very fresh, very quick.
Thank you, Natalie. Thank you so much for doing this for us.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We love having you on and partnering with you. Guys, check out NatPacks. She offers a wonderful service for our area and is always expanding, and we definitely support her in everything that she's pursuing. So like I said, we're going to be having her back in a couple months, but continue to join us for our virtual cooking classes. And I hope everyone has a great evening.
Bye. Thank you.